So, transformation, human transformation, transformation in general, there are different kinds of transformation. There's the transformation that as much as we might try and put off, deny, deflect with all kinds of fountain of youth type imitation things, they just happen. Transformation, our bodies transform. We go from infants to toddlers to children to teens, etc. And then there's the transformations that we want to achieve, that we try to achieve, to become kinder, to become smarter, to become more athletic, to become whatever it might be. And the question today that we're going to look at is one of the ultimate characters of the Bible who goes through transformations. I think there are several of them that go through these transformations of true transformation of character. Jacob goes through it, Joseph goes through it, Moses goes through it, as three of the primary characters. We're going to look at Jacob today. And what does it mean for him to go through this transformation? The first number of texts on your sheet, and I apologize to those at home that I can't put it up, but I'll be telling you the verses that we'll be looking at so that you can follow along if you have a chumash, a Bible there with you. The first couple texts could lead us down a road of endless conversation because they're truly interesting, but we're going to use them to set a background. Genesis 25, 23 through 26. That's Genesis, Bereshit 25, 23 through 26. This is the birth of Jacob. And we see here, but the children struggled in her womb, and she said, "Why do I exist?" She went to inquire of the Lord, and the Lord answered her, "Two nations are in your womb, two separate people shall issue from your body. One people shall be mightier than the other, and the older shall serve the younger." When her time to give birth was at hand, there were twins in her womb. The first one emerged red like a hairy mantle all over, so they named him Esau. Then his brother emerged holding on to the heel of Esau, and so they named him Yaakov, Jacob. Now the important thing, just I highlighted it in the red, is that the word Ekev, heel, is the same shorish, the same root as Yaakov. Ekev and Yaakov. Without asking you, because I don't want to spend too much time, I'm going to point out that in this, I'm going to read the next one and then I'll point this out. When the boys grew up, Esau became a skillful hunter, a man of the outdoors, but Jacob became a simple man dwelling in tents. And if you look, it says in the Hebrew, I bolded it, Ish Tam. When I say Tam, does anybody have a connection in their head? No, that's with an ayin in it. Okay, it's also in Hebrew. The Haggadah, the simple son, is the Tam. The Haggadah, the simple son. What do you think of when you think of the Haggadah and you think of the simple son? He doesn't really ask too much question. He asks a simple question like, what's up? What's this? A child. He's simple. And Yoshev Ohalim, he's somebody who sits in tents. Now, from my point of view, I happen to see Esau in this statement, a skillful hunter of the outdoors. Verse, what's the image of Jacob here? A Nebish. He's a Nebish. He's nothing. He's like, okay, whatever. Crash my little cars. Esau, right? Like, but here's the other thing. Jacob has no identity unless it's compared to Esau. His name comes from Esau's heel. He is nothing without Esau. Everything is in comparison. There is no Jacob without his brother. What's Jacob's identity? On its own, nothing. It only comes in comparison to his brother. Next story, Genesis 25, 29 through 34. Once when Jacob was cooking a stew, Esau came in from the open famished. And Esau said to Jacob, give me some of that red stuff to gulp down, for I am famished, which is why he was named Edom, red. Jacob said, first, sell me your birthright. And Esau said, I'm to the point of death. Now, was he really to the point of death? How many people have had a kid come home and say, I'm so hungry, I'm going to die? Right? Okay. I'm to the point of death, so what use is my birthright? But Jacob said, swear to me first. So he swore to him. He sold his birthright to Jacob. Jacob gave Esau lentil stew. He ate, he drank, he rose, he went away. Esau spurned the birthright. Now then, what is the picture of Jacob in this story? If you had to describe Jacob based on this, he's taking a little action on his own, but what? He's conniving. Does anybody want to say actually he's acting pretty smart? Or does anybody want to, what else? Yeah, Stacey, I see you nodding. What are you saying? In a good way or a connotation, positive, negative? Come on, take a stand here. Good, okay. He's taking advantage. He's saying, look, I'm a businessman. I'm shrewd. I'm going to figure out what needs to be done to make sure that I'm taken care of in this world. What? He's clever. What'd you say? Clever, okay. You're seeing? Scar the lion towards his brother. Ooh, so that's a pretty negative connotation, I think. I mean, when I think of scar, negative. So we've got negative and positive, okay, in the Whalen family here. He's not simple anymore. Ooh, Big Jakey grew up. I don't know. But it's still in relation to his brother. And here's the thing. Maybe he's a little conniving, maybe he's a little smart, maybe he's a little weaselly, but by buying his birthright, he's trying to become his brother. He's not taking his own identity, he's trying to become his brother, his birthright. He still doesn't have his real own identity. And it gets to the pinnacle of this moment in the scene that we all know, Genesis 27, 1 through 30. I'm just going to read the key parts here. Esau had gone out into the open to hunt, to bring game home. Rebekah said to her son, because Isaac had asked for it, to give him the blessing. And Rebekah overheard and said, I overheard your father speaking to your brother Esau, saying, bring me some game and prepare a dish for me to eat, that I may bless you without Adonai's approval before I die. Now, my son, listen carefully as I instruct you. Go to the flock, fetch me 2 choice kids, and I will make them a dish for your father, such as he likes. Then take it to your father to eat, in order that he may bless you before he dies. Jacob answered his mother and said, but my brother Esau is a hairy man, and I'm smooth-skinned, and if my father touches me, I shall appear to him as a trickster and bring upon me a curse. His mother said to him, your curse is on me. Don't worry about it. Just do as I say. Fetch them for me. Isaac later on says to Jacob, come closer so that I might feel you, my son, whether you really are my son Esau or not. So Jacob drew close to his father, who felt him and wondered. The voice is the voice of Jacob, yet the hands are the hands of Esau. He did not recognize him because his hands were hairy like those of his brother Esau. And so he blessed him, and he asked, are you really my son Esau? And he said, I am. Jacob has completely become his brother in a totally surface level and nothing more. Jacob is a wannabe, an imposter. A matter of fact, what's the only thing that Jacob knows how to cook? Vegetables. When it comes to cooking actual meat, who had to do the cooking? Mommy. Jacob just knows how to cook lentils, wimpy vegetarian food. Debbie Hitzke is not having any of that. Next page. Jacob left Beersheba, set out for Haran. He ran away, and he has his first interaction with God himself. He had a dream. A stairway was going up. A stairway was set up on the ground, and its top reached to the sky, and the messengers of God were going up and down, and God says, Jacob, I am the Lord, the God of your father Abraham, and the house and the God of Isaac's house, the ground which we are laying on, I will assign to you and your offspring, your descendants, da-da-da-da. Jacob awoke from his sleep, I'm skipping down to the bottom of that, and says, surely Adonai is present in this place, and I didn't know it. Shaken, he said, how awesome is this place? This is none other than the abode of God. That is the gateway to heaven. Early in the morning, Jacob took the stone he had put under his head and set it up as a pillar, poured oil on top of it. He named it Bethel, the house of God. Jacob then made a vow, saying, if God remains with me, protecting me, okay, then I return to my father's house, I will set aside a tithe for you, God. Okay, here is the first place in the Torah where Jacob actually takes action on his own. There's no action that Jacob takes on his own that is not in comparison or in connection to his brother until here. Jacob, next one, Genesis 29, 1 through 10. Jacob resumed his journey, came to the land of the Easterners. There before his eyes was a well in the open. Jacob said to the shepherds milling about the communal watering well for the sheep, my friends, why are you here? You're here a little early. You aren't pasturing the sheep. You're being lazy is basically what he's saying. Then he says, do you know Laban, the son of Nahor? They said, yes. Is he well? Yes, he is. And there is his daughter Rachel. And when Jacob saw Rachel, the daughter of his uncle Laban, and the flock of his uncle Laban, Jacob went up and single-handedly rolled this massive stone off, which normally would take an entire group of people, and Jacob did it on his own. Rashi says, as one easily draws the stopper from the mouth of a bottle, he moved this huge stone, showing how strong he was. Jacob is making a transition. We keep going. Jacob told Rachel that he was his father's kinsman, that he was Rebekah's son. She ran and told her father, ... keep going. Jacob loved Rachel. And so when he's asked to marry, Laban said 7 years. He said, I will serve you 7 years for your younger daughter, Rachel. Jacob did this. Jacob, skipping down to the next bold line, so the man grew exceedingly prosperous, came to own large flocks of menservants, camels, and asses. Jacob had transitioned. Is this a natural transition or something that he intended to do? Let's a little of both, okay? Jacob prepares to meet his brother after 20 plus years of estrangement. And he's scared and he's frightened. And he divided his people. Turn to the last text, and this is where we're going to end, and we can talk about it, the last two texts. Genesis 32, that night before he met his brother, he arose, taking his 2 wives, his 2 maidservants, his 11 sons, and Jacob was left alone. And a figure wrestled with him until the break of dawn. When he saw that he had not prevailed against him, he wrenched Jacob's hip against the socket, so the socket hip was strained. Then Jacob said, let me go for, then the figure said, let me go for dawn is breaking. Jacob answered, I will not let you go unless you bless me. All of a sudden, we have a hint here of Jacob going to dad and saying, I want a blessing, but there's a difference. Jacob wrestled with this figure as Jacob. Jacob had made a transformation. And this is not a transformation that just comes from growing up. It's a transformation where you say, I have to stand up on my own 2 feet. Where somebody says, I have to be different. I have to do this. What is your name? Your name shall no longer be Jacob, but Israel, for you have striven with beings divine and human and prevailed. Jacob named the place Peniel, the face of God. because he saw a divine being face to face. That type of work, that type of personal transformation doesn't come from just simply growing up, but it comes from being willing to acknowledge those transitions, to not just going through them, but to being mindful of each stage of life and to saying, I am a different person. Because here's the thing. The last text, and this is where we end, looking up, Jacob saw Esau coming with the retinue of 400. What did he do? He went forward and bowed before him 7 times, saying, I'm here. I'm not running away from you, and I'm not trying to be you. I am my own person. Esau greeted him, embraced him, they kissed, and they wept. My supposition, where I end, is that I don't think that that reunion could have been beautiful, could have been like that if Jacob hadn't actually taken the time to become his own person. Because if he still was imitating his brother or saw himself only in reflection of his brother, he wouldn't have had the strength to stand up as his own person facing his brother. My prayer, my blessing for all of us is that we have the strength, wherever we are in our own journeys, to recognize each transition, to embrace them with mindfulness, and to move forward with new strength. Shabbat Shalom.